Good day, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps, law firm for seniors and disabled. Welcome to our YouTube live channel today on Tuesday, March 18th. Good to have you here. My name's Eric. I'm the lead attorney at Helps. I've been an attorney now for 46 years, since 1978. 1978 was a momentous year for a lot of different reasons. One reason is Congress passed a law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that provided that it controlled what debt collectors could do. And one of the things it said is if you sent a debt collector a letter called a cease and desist letter, they'd have to leave you alone. They couldn't call or send you demand letters anymore. Now, they could sue you, but they couldn't harass you about the debt. Also provided if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors could no longer call you or send you demand letters. They have to deal with the attorney. And that's what Helps does. We're a national law firm that represents seniors and disabled nationwide who owe debt they can't afford to pay in order to stop debt collectors from harassing them. People find out about us, they enroll in our program. We don't turn anyone away. The cost is minimal or free depending on your income, but it's absolutely minimal. We want to be able to help any senior that needs our help. Okay? They give us the creditors they owe money to, the debt collectors. And we need the name and address. And the account number. We don't need the balance. And we send a cease and desist letter, and they're going to leave you alone. And so that law was passed in '78. It's been a blessing to a lot of people, so they don't have to be harassed by debt collectors anymore. And if debt collectors violate that law, they can be sued, and there's penalties involved, and they can pay attorney fees. And so they generally are pretty good about following that law because they don't want to get sued. That law is not going anywhere. That's going to be here in place. Okay, it's very necessary, and anyone of any political affiliation will agree with that. Okay, that law isn't going anywhere, so you don't need to worry. I'd like to welcome to our YouTube channel, and I see there's a lot of questions at the beginning. I'll get to those, but the topic is: can my Social Security be garnished? And sometimes, I say an answer to that question could be like, okay, if I walk out during a storm, could I get hit by a bolt of lightning? Or, if I go to Circle K on Friday night at 10:07 p.m., could I get hit by a drunk driver? Okay? Or, is it possible the Martians could come for dinner on Saturday? What would I give them for dessert? Okay. I mean, I guess theoretically, all those things are possible. Do we live our lives worrying about that kind of thing? No. Okay. Can your Social Security get garnished? Well, okay. The general answer is no. There's a couple exceptions. One exception is, if you owed IRS taxes, it's possible the IRS could send you a notice saying they intend to offset 15% of your Social Security. But if you're modest or lower income, you can get on what's called currently not collectible status, and they'll give you 60 days to get on currently not collectible status. So normally, seniors of modest or lower income do not need to worry about IRS going after their Social Security. I don't see the IRS going after pensions or other income. They don't really want to garnish your bank account. They would just go after your Social Security, but even that is pretty rare. Why? I think they have systems in place. Their computer lets them know that if a senior's only income is Social Security and it's minimal, they're not going to do anything about it, okay? It's too small, and they know the person could get on currently not collectible status. Now, the other exception is if you owed past due child support, then the rules go up kind of out the door, and they can garnish quite a bit. But that is so very rare, we don't see that happening. But if that were to happen, there's things that can be done even then, okay? The only other exception, I guess, would be if you owe debt to another agency, like at the SBA, Rural Development Commission, maybe the VA for some reason, they can do an offset, ask the Social Security to offset 15% of your Social Security. And then, depending on how much you owed, maybe the option then would be to file bankruptcy, wipe out the debt, and then the taking money out of your Social Security would stop. So as a general rule, your Social Security, no, it's going to be safe. I always explain that there's a federal rule went into effect in 2012 that tells banks if someone sued you and got a judgment and they tried to garnish your bank account, the bank account automatically protects in your bank account, twice the amount of your federal benefit, for example, Social Security, deposit in your bank account from garnishment, regardless of what other funds may be in the bank account at that time. So if you got $1,500 in Social Security each month, $3,000 in your bank account is protected from garnishment. Okay? So welcome to our YouTube channel. How do I sign up with the program? Carolyn asked. You just call us on the phone, 855-435-7787, and talk to one of our paralegals. We'll ask you some questions and go over this with you. And sometimes people will call 2, 3, 4, or 5 times before they decide to enroll. We save the information, and when you call back, we can just pick up where you left off, and we want you to feel comfortable about what Helps does. Okay? I've heard that, Elizabeth asks, I've heard that Discover will play hardball with a debt. If I own my 11-year-old car, live alone, and have under $3,000, what can they get? Nothing. You know, I guess Discover made a decision years ago that they would just sue anyone pretty much that owes them debt. Okay? And so that's pretty much what they do. Not all the time, but generally it's the general rule. But if they sue you and get a judgment, what do I say? I say, so what? You don't have to, if you owe the money, you don't have to go to court. They can get a judgment. You're judgment proof, which means they can't take your Social Security, your pension, or other retirement income. They're not going to go after your assets. That's not what they do. You know, what they're hoping is that if they sue you, they're going to get a reaction. You're going to call them and make arrangements to make payments. You got to realize, debt collectors don't have to tell you your rights. They don't have to tell you how your income is protected or your assets are protected under state law. They don't have to do that. They won't do that. All they have to do is say, you know, we're a debt collector, and any information we get will be used for that purpose. Okay? But that's what Helps is here for. We're here to give you right information about your rights. Okay? There's just a lot of misinformation out there. Okay? And it gets spread around. We had a YouTube video I did with Senior Living, got published last Friday. It's kind of gone viral and had a lot of. I get frustrated occasionally, and I say to these people, I say to myself, you know, wow, you know, there's just a lot of misinformation out there. And so sometimes when I tell people what I tell, maybe they have a hard time believing me, but I can assure you it's the truth. Okay, all you need to do is look at our other YouTube videos, look at our website. You could also Google this and find out answers that confirm what we talk about, how your income is protected, how you're going to be okay. So you're going to be fine. Put your questions in the chat feature, and I'll try to answer them. And then I've got a lot of, you know, I know a lot of you talk amongst yourselves in the chat feature. I can usually be pretty good about spotting the questions. So Daryl asked a question, which is real common. Can they put a lien on my home with a judgment? The answer is possibly. Normally, yes. It depends on the state. Okay. For example, in California, there's a paper that you can file called a homestead exemption form that means if someone were to sue you and get a judgment, it's not a lien on the home unless you have equity over a certain amount, and it's normally over $600,000 some odd dollars. In some counties, it's over $700,000. Other states have similar rules. If you owned a home with a, you know, I just talked with someone on the phone earlier this morning, and he was worried about a lien, and I said, you own the home with your wife? And he said, yes. And I said, how old are you? And I think he's 71. His wife was like 67. And who owes the debt? And he said, I owe the debt. My wife doesn't owe the debt. And he had a home that was pretty much free and clear. I think he was in North Carolina. So the home was worth more than what the state exemption was. And I told him, I said, well, if they sue you and get a judgment, they're not going to take the home because the home is in both you and your wife's name. And even if it was in your name alone, it's not their practice to go after the home. They just simply won't do it for a lot of different reasons. And I explained to him, I said, well, what about a lien? He said, I said, well, if you pass away before your wife, do you intend to stay there? He says, yeah, we're going to live there until we die. And he says, if you pass away before your wife, which is statistically more likely, then when you pass away, the home will go to your wife, and then judgment liens disappear. See, a judgment lien is only a lien on property that you own. It's not on a specific piece of property. It's only on property you own. And they get it, so if you go to sell the property, they do a title report and they find out there's a judgment. And then if you own the property, then it's imputed to be a lien on that property. So if you die, you no longer own the property. The property transfers by operation of law to your spouse because they owned it with survivorship rights, which most married couples do. Therefore, if there's judgments against him, those judgments simply go away. And there's other ways to get a lien removed. So it's not very often that it's an issue. Can be, but not very often. We talk to people about that. Okay? Okay. So let's look at the questions we have. Some person wrote in, how do you stop the phone calls from doctor bills, from bill collectors? Well, like I said, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act applies towards debt collectors, technically not original creditors. So if you're getting a call from a bill collector for a medical bill, a cease and desist letter can be sent. That's what HELPS does to that bill collector, and then they have to leave you alone. Okay? There are some states, I think 7 states, take the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, which is a federal law, and they've made it part of their state law, and they've also included that it protects you from telephone calls from an original creditor. But when people enroll in HELPS, they give us the creditors they owe money to, even if they're an original creditor, and we'll send a cease and desist letter out to an original creditor. And they'll almost always, they'll honor a cease and desist letter and stop calling. Now, they may still send you a bill, but that's about it. Okay? So this person says, my Social Security is being garnished by the IRS because they say I owe them money. How do I get that stopped? I'm almost 75 years old. Well, that's not very common that the IRS is going to garnish you. They don't do it. We call it a set-off of 15% of your Social Security. And I explained this a little bit earlier. If you have income that's lower or modest income or poor, you can get on what's called currently not collectible status with the IRS. And how much can you make and get on currently not collectible status? Well, approximately, if you're single, $2,500 or less. If you're married, $3,500 or less. Even a little bit more than that in certain states. Now, how do you get on it? You can contact the IRS. If you got a notice on the upper right-hand corner, there's a phone number. You can phone there. You'll be on hold for 2 hours. Eventually get through to them. And a lot of times you can get on currently not collectible status over the phone, especially if your income's lower. Sometimes you might have to fill out a form. But like I said, it's not very common that seniors are subject to a set-off of Social Security for taxes they owe. Just as an aside, taxes can be discharged or wiped out in bankruptcy too. They have to be at least 3 years old and assessed for at least 2 years. When I was doing bankruptcy, I probably wiped out multi-millions of taxes for seniors, for persons that owed taxes. But for seniors, they normally don't need to worry about a bankruptcy. It's not necessary. Okay? So we told this person that, that they could get on currently not collectible status and to give us a call, and we'd give them an email on how to do it. You can do it yourself. It's not that difficult. Okay? This person writes us from California. I'm a 78-year-old man receiving Social Security retirement benefits. I work occasionally part-time. I may have judgments against me related to a default on a credit card and a car lease occurring during when I had some medical procedures done. I don't know how to find out about the judgments. I'm not getting collection calls, but I've changed address and phone numbers. I now understand that my Social Security direct deposit and twice the dollar amount my account is protected. Yeah, you listen to me and he understands that. Okay? Do I need to do... I answered a comment for someone on one YouTube video, and the comment was from the guy said he was a collection attorney, and he didn't even understand the fact that twice the amount of your Social Security was protected, okay, automatically. I tell people there's 999 out of 1,000 attorneys don't understand that rule. It's been in effect since 2012. I've yet to understand a bank manager that understands the rule, but there's a department in the bank that understands that rule, and if they get rid of garnishment, that department understands how twice the amount of your federal benefit is protected automatically, even if some of the money in the account came from some other source. And so he goes on to ask, do I need to do any proactive notification to a bank or creditors to ensure that my limited finances are not affected? Thank you. And the answer is no. Okay. If you were to talk to your bank manager, he would probably look befuddled, or he would say, no, that's not the case, because he doesn't know the answer. But there's a department in the bank that knows how your income is protected. You don't need to, and you don't need to tell that to the creditors. They really don't care. They're just set up on automatic sometimes. Once they sue, they want to get a judgment and hope they rely on your ignorance or you're not understanding the law to get you to call them on the phone and make arrangements to make payments when you don't really have to pay. That's what they do. Okay. Is there a way to know that the home has a lien on it with the county tax officer someplace? No, the only way to know, if we're talking about a judgment lien, the only way to know about it, if you've been sued and there's a judgment, then normally that judgment would be a lien on the home. It depends on the state and the state law, okay? But once again, it doesn't mean a whole lot for a lot of different reasons, and there's ways to get the lien removed, like I've explained. Can a line of credit, okay, he says second mortgage, it got bought through a private acquisition, have to be paid back? Okay, Olivia asked that question. It's a good question. So you understand what a first mortgage is. A first mortgage is if you bought a home and you had a loan and the bank loaned you the money or whoever, and that's the first mortgage. That's your mortgage payment. Okay, that needs to be paid. If you didn't pay that, then they would eventually try to foreclose on your home. Now, sometimes people, if they have excess equity in their home, they'll go to a bank or someone and a lender, and they might give them a second mortgage. Okay, sometimes it's called a HELOC, which stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. That is simply a second mortgage where you have kind of like a line of credit you can draw on, and you only have to pay interest only, or maybe you get a lump sum. So I think what Olivia is asking is, if you get a second mortgage, you don't pay that, and maybe the person you got the second mortgage with sold it to someone else. Does it have to be paid back? Well, it's going to be a lien on the home, so when you go to sell a home, it's going to need to be paid. And technically, if you don't pay it, they could theoretically foreclose. I can tell you that statistically, it's fairly unlikely that they would choose to foreclose on a second mortgage if you don't make the payment. We don't see that happening, but very rarely. And why is that? Well, let's say you had a home that you owed $200,000 on, it was worth $300,000, and you had a $50,000 second mortgage. Well, if the second mortgage was going to foreclose on you, they'd have to pay off the $200,000 first mortgage as part of the foreclosure proceeding to be able to get at the home, and they're not going to do that. They're not set up to come up with $200,000 to pay off that first mortgage. So a lot of times, people might be desperate. They can afford the first mortgage, but not the second. And, if they stop paying the second, it's probably unlikely that the second is going to foreclose on the home. But you still owe the money on the second. It's going to get paid at some point. Either when you sell the home or when you pass away, it's still going to be a lien on the home. I work as a substitute teacher. Can they garnish my wages? Daryl says. Well, okay, the stars would have to align. I'll explain. First off, someone would have to sue you and get a judgment, okay? And may or may not happen. If you're on Social Security and and then There's a federal law that protects a minimum of $217.50 net per week in wages in every single state in the union. Okay, that is $435 every 2 weeks, about $950 a month in net in income, protected from garnishment. But there's probably at least a third of the states, or maybe more, that have wage protections that are more than that. Some states won't even allow a garnishment of wages, like Texas. And other states protect much more. Some states like California, they protect $600. Nevada protects $400 or $500. I mean, it goes on. There's a lot of states that protect a lot more than just $217.50 net per week. But then they'd have to sue you, get a judgment. They have to know where you're working, which isn't easy necessarily. And so, I mean, you could adjust if they did garnish you, and it was only a $217.50 net per week in protections. I mean, you could adjust your work schedule so you don't make more than that. Okay. I mean, you could make $200 an hour and work 1 hour a week, and it's completely protected. Okay. Dare ask, if I return the car to the bank and they can't sell it for what is owed, do I have to pay the difference? Well, you don't have to pay the difference. I'll explain why. The difference is called a deficiency. So when they sell the car, they're going to sell it normally for less than what you owe, and they're going to send you a demand letter saying you owe this amount. It's called a deficiency notice. If you're a member of HELPS, you're going to get us that notice. We're going to send a letter to the lender explaining that your income is Social Security, it's a pension or whatever. It's protected, that you can't pay this bill and you're not going to pay it, not to bother you anymore. Okay? Are they going to try to collect on the debt? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, if they were to sue you, your retirement income is protected. So do you have to pay it? No, you don't have to pay it. I mean, do you owe it? Yeah, but you don't have to pay it. Okay? Okay, so this person contacts us again. It looks like another person from California. And he's younger. He's in his 50s. At what age does this protection apply to seniors? Well, okay. The law that I talk about here doesn't have anything to do with your age, although the majority of persons that we help are seniors. It depends on your income. So if you get Social Security at age 30, for whatever reason, if you're disabled, it's protected, and you can become a member of HELPS. And if you got a pension at age in your 50s or younger, it's still protected. So it doesn't matter how old you are. It's just the source of your income. Okay. And he says, I have an outstanding SBA loan. And he's got unsecured debts and I have credit card debt. My income is less than $800. What are my rights and responsibilities regarding each of these creditors? Well, okay. You don't have to pay any of them. Don't have to pay any of them. They can't. I don't know what your monthly income is, but if it's Social Security, it's protected. If it's wages, it's definitely protected. It's less than $217.50 net per week, and you live in California, and California has a $600 wage exemption. So you wouldn't have to pay any. Now, the only issue could be the SBA loan. There is a rule that went into effect in '96, and it's been modified a little bit, but it provides that if you owe a debt to a federal agency, like the SBA, that stands for Small Business Administration, okay, they can do an offset of 15% of your Social Security to pay a debt that you owe, okay? Now, some of them will allow you to pay a smaller sum. I think I talked yesterday about a lady who had this problem, and the SBA agreed to let her pay $5 a month. And I told her, I said, wow, that's a good deal, because if they garnish your Social Security, they'd be getting a couple $100. And you could file bankruptcy, wipe out the debt, you wouldn't have to pay them anything, but bankruptcy could cost a couple $1,000s. So paying $5 a month to keep the SBA off your back from taking Social Security, that's a whale of a deal. She said, I'm going to have to pay that for the next 30 years. So what? Okay? So this person contacted us from Kansas, and they say, I signed up for a timeshare in December 2022. They're not totally honest. No, they're not. I sent them an email 16 days later to cancel when I realized they were charging me $2,600 a year maintenance fee for the rest of my life, increasing the fee every year, and would pass it on to my kids when I died. I'm 69 years old. The kids wouldn't have to pay it, but he was worried they would. And I've been single for 19. Okay, I live off Social Security in my IRA. I've talked with a couple of attorneys, one of which took $3,000 and never returned my phone calls. Sorry. They tell me timeshare is a whole different ball game. It's not a whole different ball game. It's a joke. I've already paid over $25,000 to the timeshare company, but I can't use their services because I haven't been making the payments since July 24. I'm wondering if I have to make any more payments to them. No. They're trying to get me to pay another $35,000 to close the account. Oh my gosh. There's some attorneys or companies advertise they get people out of timeshares. They're total scams. They're scams. I talked to my former partners. We did 25, 30,000 bankruptcy. I did, alone. And I asked them, I said, do you guys ever remember a timeshare ever suing one of our clients for a debt? And they said, no, we can't. No, we can't. Timeshares don't sue. If you're a senior on Social Security, if they sued you, which they're not going to do, but if they sued you, so what? They can't collect anything from you. No, if you don't pay the timeshare, call their bluff. They may send you a letter saying, okay, if you pay us $1,000, we'll take it. Or they might try to get more from you. You don't have to pay them anything. And I'll say to their face, they're scammers. Okay. I mean, you don't need their help. You just stop making the payment. That's going to be it. They take advantage, especially take advantage of seniors. So we're going to get a hold of this guy from Kansas. We're going to tell him, hey, you can stop paying that timeshare. You don't need to worry about it. Remember, if you've got any questions, we talk about things. If you've got any questions, you can always call us. Toll free, 855-435-7787. And we'll answer your questions and go over this. We don't want you to be worried. We don't want you to be taken advantage of, especially. Okay. Jimmy talks about New Jersey. Yeah, some of the wage exemptions, when the state modifies it, you almost have to learn a foreign language to realize how it works. So I won't pretend I understand New Jersey without reading it. But obviously, they protect more than what the federal amount is, more than $217.50. I have a whole life insurance policy with cash value. Can get my cash value somehow. Certainly your state has a law that will protect the cash value in your life insurance policy. Okay. There'll be a state law that protects that. I've never seen in over 4 decades of practice anyone get a cash value on a whole life policy. Now, if you're still paying on that life insurance and you're a senior and you have minimal income, it may not make sense for you to continue paying that life insurance policy. That depends. Okay. I joined HELPS last month. I apologize for asking this again. You never need to apologize for asking a question again. Sometimes I'll tell clients that enroll in HELPS, I'll say, if you ever have a question or concern, you always call us, no matter how often. I tell people that every time. But sometimes a person will call me and they'll say, well, I'm sorry. I know you guys are busy, but I've been worried about. No. The total purpose of HELPS is if you have a question or concern, You call us no matter how often. That's why Helps was founded. We understand that this is new information that you might need to ask the question over and over again. We don't, and some people worry more than others. But let me get back to you, Franklin. I'm worried a bank I defaulted a credit card with recently. I have a current auto loan with this bank. Can they touch my car? If it's a bank, no. Now, if it's a credit union, it would be different. A credit union has what's called a cross-collateralization agreement on your car loan, which says in essence, if you own another loan with our credit union and you don't pay it, that debt is also secured by this car loan. So as long as a bank, it's not an issue. Now, if it's a credit union, then it would be different, and I can tell you what would be done then. There are no dumb questions. If you've been listening to me, you know that I ask the same. Sometimes I answer the same questions over and over again because we have a new set of persons that get on YouTube Live and listen to these videos, which is okay. And then I think some people just like to hear it again and again, which is fine too. I want you to get your answers, and you can always call us. So this person contacted us from Georgia. Yes, I could not continue my regular payments, and now I've fallen too far behind. My credit situation has been in need of attention for a long time. I've reached out to many groups for help, and it just was not enough to keep me away from ensuing debt. I believe you will help, and I want to thank you in advance. Okay, yeah, we can help. I can honestly say there's not very many people, seniors, that contact us with problems that we can't help. And those few that, we're going to give you the answer that you're going to need. Very rarely, I never will tell anyone, oh, you're a lost cause, give up. No, that never happens. There's always a good answer somewhere, okay? Okay, this person writes us from Texas. I want to ask questions to see if you can help me how to move forward with debt and IRS garnishment. I want to straighten my finances out. Don't know how to. Thanks for your, oh yeah, that's what we do. Call us. We're gonna help you. Can they sue you? I think Love's Love. Can you be sued for fraud charges on a credit card? I guess I don't know understand the exact. Can you be sued for charges that on a credit card? I'm not sure the question. You can sue anyone for anything in the United States of America. If we watch the news, we certainly learn that, right? You see judges get involved all the time for different things. But, it doesn't matter if you're sued or not. If your income is Social Security or pension, it's protected. Even if there's a judgment against you based on fraud, they can't take anything from you. You don't need to worry, okay? Some people remind me, says, well, I filled out the form wrong, and I may have said that I make more money than I do, and they gave me the credit card. I'm worried that if they sue me, they're gonna say that because I filled the form out wrong, it's based on fraud, and they're going to be able to take my Social Security. The answer is no, they can't. They're not going to do that anyway. Tater asks, I'm about to default on $48 on a credit card debt because they refused to remove a $140 fraudulent charge on my card. I'm on Social Security, so I just may do it. You can do it if you want, yeah. Can I sue for fraud charges? Well, I mean, if someone use your card fraudulently, you can go to the bank or your credit card company, and they have a procedure to remove those charges. You know, if they don't, I mean, can you sue them? I guess you can sue anyone for anything. How are you going to do that? You'll never find an attorney to represent you to do that, and you doing it yourself is going to be difficult. I guess the answer is you could just refuse to pay the card, okay? Not pay it. It's up to you. Yeah, you can sue for anything, but whether it makes sense or not is a completely different matter. Okay. So this person contacts us from, it looks like Florida. I'm 75 years old. My husband is 76. His husband had a stroke. He's in a care facility. My income has dropped by half, but the debt payments remain the same. I stopped paying on one of his credit cards, but still get bills and letters threatening legal action. And our other credit card loans I'm trying to pay on, but it's become a game of pick one from a hat, so I'm getting behind. I'm very interested in receiving more information on the services you offer or direction on who I can contact for assistance. You can call, that person can call us. We're going to explain to her that, you know, your income is protected. It can't be taken from you. You can stop paying these credit card debts. If you have one that's a smaller balance you owe nothing on and it's not backed by another bank, you could keep that credit card still if you wanted to. You live in Florida. If you're buying a home, your home is protected. No one can take it. Got an unlimited exemption in almost every case in Florida on equity in a home. They're not going to go after your other assets, so you're going to be fine. The money you get is going to be available for your needs, for your food, for your medicine, for what you need. And we'll talk to you about what your rights are. See, our main mission at Helps is to protect seniors from debt collector harassment. Our second mission is to educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. So a lot of what we do is we talk about, you know, how you can live within the means with your income that you have now, okay? You know, for example, you know, maybe a car needs to go back, and that'll be your decision, okay? And how do you get a less expensive car? Talk about that. You know, maybe we might mention a reverse mortgage. Sometimes reverse mortgage can be an answer to prayer. that would pay off your existing home loan so you don't have a mortgage payment anymore. Some people will say, well, when I tell them, mention that, they'll say, I don't want that. I ask them why, they can't give me a reason. But, you know, we don't sell reverse mortgages, but sometimes we'll tell seniors about them when it looks like it could really be a solution to their problem. There's just a lot of misinformation about reverse mortgages out there. So, you know, if you're sued, we're going to explain why you don't need to go to court, why they can't really collect from you. So, yeah, we do, other than protecting you from debt collectors, we do a lot of other things. Someone on a comment, I think I read yesterday, said something like, well, all Helps does is they send a letter to the creditors and then they leave you alone. That's it. If you get sued, you have other problems, no, that's not what they do. Well, a guy could have been more wrong. Guy could not have been more wrong. You know, if our clients are sued, we're going to help them. You know, we don't give legal advice. We give legal information because it's basic information that we give to people. So, no, we do a lot more than just protect you from debt collectors. We represent you ongoing, so you don't have to deal with debt collectors. So if you know, some other guy said he was upset because now he's getting all these new debt collection notices after he'd been part of Helps for a year or so. And he was, I've already sent you these, now I'm getting new debt collection notices. You were supposed to stop this. Well, when you enrolled, we explained that it's possible that you would get new debt collection notices. A debt collector could sell it to a new debt collector. You let us need. I told him, I said, you need to let us know about those new debt collectors. We're going to send them a cease and desist letter, so they're going to leave you alone. We're there for you ongoing, not just one time, literally forever. Okay, so you don't have to deal with these collectors again. Daryl says, I have a lien on my home and I died. Does a lien then affect the beneficiary's ability to sell the home? Well, it could. And you can call and talk to us and we'll go over this with you. It's kind of hard to go over in this kind of format. But we've got videos that talk about it on our YouTube page. Car warranty companies. My opinion, I learned it as a young attorney, scammers, scam companies. Now, why is it? And I think I talked to someone maybe yesterday. Funny how these things come up. I talk about these things all day long. And they said she bought this car, paid $3,500 for it. Now I remember, and had it for 4 months, and then it went kapooey. And it had this, warranty insurance that was going to fix the car. And she took it in, oh, go ahead, they're going to fix my car for me. Well, my memory of it when I first learned about these companies is their contracts provided it had to be a total mechanical breakdown. And so, in other words, if you had a car that had a little ping to it or there's a little bit of problem to it, it wasn't going to be covered. You had to get it fixed on your own dime. The only time they would pay it is if you're driving on the freeway and all of a sudden it just blew up. Okay, but if there was any hint of a problem before and you didn't fix it, then no, they're not going to cover you. It's like insurance anywhere. The whole purpose of insurance is to try to avoid paying a claim. That's how they make their money. I did a lot of PI work before I started HELPS, personal injury work. Insurance companies are in the business to make money. How do they make money? People say, well, they make money by collecting premiums from people. The answer to that question is no, that's not how they make money. How do they make money? By not paying a claim. That's how they make money. So if you're in an accident, for example, and there's a claim, there's an adjuster and he puts an amount that they want to pay. And if let's say the amount is $5,000, and if he can settle it for $3,000, then the company just paid $2,000. They just made $2,000. They make their money by not paying out on claims, not trying to avoid to pay a claim. Now they're not going to say that, and they will never. But that's literally how they make their money, is by decreasing the amount of claims that they have to pay out. Do you take cases on a contingency basis? No, we don't. We don't sue anyone in court. HELPS doesn't. We don't have time to sue anyone. We don't do that. No. And you were talking about suing on this fraud case. There's no one's going to take that case. No way. I mean, I have to be blunt sometimes when I talk to people and tell them when things don't make sense. There's just you would never find an attorney to represent you on that. But don't be offended. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to tell you, trying to save heartache for your headaches for you. Now, an extended warranty might be a different thing. What I was talking about on the car thing was where you buy this supplemental insurance when you get a used car or something like that. That's what this has to do with. We don't file bankruptcy. HELPS doesn't do that. And our clients, don't need to file bankruptcy. They can't afford to file bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is totally unnecessary for them. Okay. Okay. Let's see what we got going on here. So So this person writes in from California. I'm doing with my own will. I have two loans I'll still have to pay. One is for my roof and the other is for my HVAC. It's at the heating and air conditioning. So will the executor have to take out my funds to pay them or not? I don't have any children, and if my mom is still alive, she'll get what's left from the sale. My wife has passed away already. I'm 70 now. Yeah, if they have a UCC lien, it might have to be paid when the home is sold. Okay. I have a loan with Allied Financial Services in Shelby, North Carolina. The balance is $1,800. My payment is $1,400 a month, or $114 a month. The past 3 months I paid my payments late, and each month the interest each month was $103 interest and $11 late fee. I'm on Social Security and received $1,700 a month. They threatened to sue me. Is there anything I can do to get relief? Question should be, is there anything they can do to me? And the answer is no. I mean, they could sue you, but I'm assuming you're on Social Security, so your Social Security is protected, your pension is protected. No, you don't need to pay it. You could stop paying Allied Financial Services. And if you enroll in HELPS, we're going to send a letter to them letting them know that you can't afford to pay that debt anymore. That's it. Now, if they get sued, we're going to send them a letter to the attorney, letting the attorney know that your income is protected. You can't afford to pay it. We're going to remind the attorney of the protected nature of your bank account. We don't need to do that, but we do it anyway. Your bank account is protected by your bank automatically, as I've explained. You're going to be okay. And if you have other debt that you can't afford to pay, you're going to give that to us. And we're going to send a letter to those creditors or collectors, let them know that you can't pay the debt. And so you're going to take that $1,700 you get in Social Security, which isn't a whole lot. And you're going to be able to use that for your food, for your medicine, for your housing, for your heat, for your needs. Okay? You got a little extra money, you can buy grandkids a gift. Okay? Don't need to, and we're going to tell you not to worry. You don't need to worry. And that's our message to seniors. These things have a way of working out. Okay? And we will give you information so that you understand what your rights are. We're not just going to say don't worry and not give you a reason why you don't need to worry. We're going to give you the reasons why you don't need to worry. Daryl asks, could you do a debt consolidation loan to pay off credit card debt? It will lower my payments by almost half. No. Okay, Daryl. There's people that are listening that know what I'm going to say. Okay. So if you ever got contacted a debt consolidation company, there are debt settlement companies and debt management companies that help people pay debts. Should you get a debt consolidation loan? Well, you could, I guess. Usually the interest rate's going to be really high. They might ask you to put up something as collateral, like maybe generally they're not going to just loan you the money without some security, like a security to your car title or a mortgage, because if your income is lower or they can tell the difficulty making the payment, then they're taking a big risk by making you that loan. But if it's a debt management company, they're never going to tell you, by the way, you don't need to pay this existing debt because your income is protected. It's Social Security. It's pension. It can't be taken from you. You don't need our help to pay this debt. Yeah, I can't think of too many reasons where debt consolidation makes a lot of sense for seniors. You got to realize, the seniors that we work with, almost half of seniors have incomes within 200% of the poverty line. For over 40 million. That means 200% of the poverty line. That means their income is not very much. Now, the seniors that have high incomes, they don't have these problems. They're in a different field. People we help, are seniors with lesser income. And so the name of the game is to try to preserve your income so that you can, support yourself and be able to live a somewhat peaceable life, having enough money for your basic needs. So, what do you charge for your services helping seniors? Well, it's all over our website, www.helpsishere.org. We don't turn anyone away. It's kind of a tiered payment, and it's very modest. Some seniors pay $20 for 24 months, $10 for 24 months, free thereafter. Some might pay $30 for 24 months, $15 for 24 months, free thereafter. And the most a senior would pay normally would be $40 for 24 months, $20 for 24 months, and free thereafter. So it depends on what your income range is. But 1 out of 6 of our clients get our help for free, so we don't turn anyone away. Okay? Got to realize when you enroll in Helps, you're going to stop paying these other bills. And the amount we charge is absolutely minimal, and there's an end to it. But yet we represent you ongoing, so you don't need to deal with collectors. Diane asks, where can I put a bit more over twice the amount on my Social Security? So one of these comments I read from one of the people who looked at one of my videos said, okay, Eric says that only twice the amount is protected, but if you have more than that, then you're going to lose that. Well, I told the guy, I made a comment, I said, no, I didn't say that. I said if you have more than twice the amount of your Social Security in that account, and you got garnished, they could hold up the excess, but you could file a challenge of garnishment or claim of exemption to get the excess relieved. Because it's still protected, even though it's more than twice. Twice the amount is protected automatically by the bank. But if you have more than that in there, it's still protected, just not automatically. Most people tell me, well, Eric, I never have more than twice the amount in there. But if you're not sued, you don't even need to worry about it. But if you were sued and you were worried about it and you had more than twice in there, yeah, you could pull out the extra amount. Or you could, the chance of being garnished even then is pretty remote. They'd have to know where your bank, which is sometimes difficult, and they may never bother to garnish you. But if you had the extra, you could pull it out. You could keep it cash. You could use a cashier's check. You could put it on preloaded debit cards. Putting it in a savings account, the interest rate is so small, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So there's ways you can protect that money, access to that money, but you'll be able to use it like a debit card. I love how on the comments you're helping other people out. That's really nice. Okay. Daryl says, if you do get sued, do I need an attorney at that point? No. Why is that? Well, do you owe the money? Yeah. You probably can't afford an attorney. If you owe the money, what's an attorney going to do for you? I mean, you owe the money. If you don't do what happens when it helps clients get sued, you get us a copy of the summons and the complaint or the lawsuit. We're going to send a letter to the attorney who sued you, letting them know that your income is protected. We understand they're going to get a judgment. Remind them about the protected nature of your bank account. We're going to call you on the phone, explain to you why you don't need to go to court and why, why your money is protected in your bank account, and answer your questions so you don't need to worry. So, no, you don't need an attorney. Sometimes I'll read articles, people say, well, if you get sued, you need to get an attorney. Well, that's cheap for someone to say that. If you're a lower income or poor senior getting $1,500 or $1,700 a month in income, how in the world are you going to afford an attorney? And why do you need one? You don't. Okay? You don't. Gosh, time has flown by. Let's see. This person contacted us from Ohio. Looks like this might be the last one today. I retired last July. Can't pay credit card bills. Getting charged off notices. Just got a notice. If bill's not paid off, they will turn it over to a lawyer. See, they try all kinds of... They want you to give them a call. Remember, they don't have to tell you about your rights. They want you to call them on the phone so they can intimidate you into making payment arrangements. I tried a debt consolidation but could not afford it. Only income is SSI of a little bit over $2,000 monthly. What do I need to worry about? Nothing. Your only income is Social Security. It's protected. All of it is. Can't be taken from you. Protected in your bank account, as I explained. If you don't want to have to deal with the collector harassment, give us a call. We can enroll you in helps. We'll send a letter to the people you owe money to. They're going to leave you alone. And if you're worried or scared or have a question, you're going to call us. If you happen to get sued, which you could, you get us a copy of the lawsuit. We're going to send a letter to the attorney who sued you, let them know that your income is protected. We're going to call you, tell you why you don't need to pay it, why you don't need to worry about it, why you don't need to go to court. That's what helps does. So thanks for your questions today and for listening. Appreciate your comments. If I haven't answered your question or there's some more you have, you give us a call. 855-435-7787, toll free. And we'll go over what we do and answer your questions. We don't want you to worry. That's the whole purpose of helps. We don't turn anyone away that needs our help. If you ever suspect you're being scammed, give us a call. We'll talk to you about that. You don't have to be a member of helps to call us. You know, if there's some emergency comes up you're worried about, you give us a call. That's what we're here for. As far as I know, we're the only law firm in the nation that does what we do. Okay? And a lot of people need our help, and for that reason, we always ask that you share what Helps does with others. It's always nice when you push the like button on the video, or if you subscribe to our channel. When you do that, you know, the YouTube system lets people know that, hey, this video is, a lot of people are watching this, and it shares it with other people. And so many of our clients contact us that find us on YouTube. A lot of them don't know this information. They're hearing it for the very first time. So, yeah, share. Thanks, Doris.